Okay guys, it doesn't seem like there's anyone viewing this tutorial at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through assignment 4's instructions briefly, and I'll leave the rest of the content. Um, this is to help you with this assignment 4, and hopefully if you have any questions you can email them. Okay. Good morning.
Was is de boot gedaan? Hello.
Hello. Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? Is everything clear and sorted?
Yes, everything's fine.
Okay.
Must we keep the mic unmuted?
Yeah, you can actually.
Okay.
Oh wait. No, I'll mute you because the screen keeps switching every time someone speaks. So what I'll do is I'll mute you, and if you have any questions, then you can just unmute yourself, and then you can take it from there. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay, so today's tutorial is simply about our 4th assignment, the planning and intervention. So you'll be seeing very little of me because I'm going to screen share with you the assignment instructions. I'm going to go through them with you quite in detail so that when the time does come for the assignment to be due, that you won't have any questions and you won't have any, or rather you won't have any unanswered questions, because we're going to try our best to get through all of them as much as we can now. So yeah, let's just start with that. But before we start with that, we're just going to speak briefly on the topic of suicide, which may or may not come up in various of your counseling settings, in your youth ministry, in your life, with your friends. And this is a very important and serious topic that we would like to just equip you with just a little bit of understanding and knowledge about it, and also as well as certain skills that you can use in order to provide help for someone, or to someone who has, sorry, I'm a bit fluish, to someone who has indicated to you that they are suicidal. So I'm going to screen share from now. Let me just, okay, hold on. Sorry, can you guys see that? You see it? Okay, perfect. So just some statistics that you can go through in order of ranking. Most of them are irrelevant, but just to look at the last one that says 28%, this was in 2009, so it may or may not have fluctuated since then. It says 28% of South Africans, oh sorry, we're not sure what the population is, but it just says 28% have had suicidal thoughts and 14% have attempted suicide. So that's a third of this given population that have had suicidal thoughts, and from there almost a fifth have actually attempted to commit suicide. And those statistics, though they may seem small in terms of actual numbers, could number close to 1 million who have thought about suicide, and about 500,000 people who have actually attempted We're not sure how many of them were or were not successful. But it just shows you that suicide is quite a serious issue among many South Africans and many people in the world as well. I'm sure that right off the bat you can think of someone you know that has either thought about committing suicide or has actually tried. That's how prevalent the I don't want to say epidemic, but the problem of suicide is, not in South Africa alone, but the rest of the world. So just a few questions that you don't have to answer it to me, you can just think about it, is that how many people do you know that have thought about committing suicide? How many people do you know that have thought about committing suicide? And then further, how many do you know that have actually attempted to commit suicide? That's just for your own digestion, just for your own thinking, so that you can get a gauge on how prevalent the issue of suicide is in your life and how much it has or has not affected you. And then this question we will give you some steps and some guides for. It says, what steps would you take if somebody you knew or someone you know said that they wanted to kill themselves? That's something that is quite, you never know whether to take it seriously or not. It's can get quite intense or quite hectic. You don't know if the person is just joking around or just feeling a bit down today, or if this person actually wants to take their life. So what steps could you take when someone tells you that they actually want to kill themselves? The first thing that you will do is to take it seriously, is to take their word for it, is to establish that what they've said is actually what they are idealizing and what they would like to do. So my first approach to it would be, don't take it lightly. Someone says to you that they would like to kill themselves or are suicidal or have suicidal thoughts, do not take it lightly. It's very serious. And this is just how suicide links to hopelessness. Many people think that suicidal people are depressed, but in actual fact, one can be very happy before they attempt to commit suicide. In that, the main contributor or the main predicting factor of suicide would not be depression, in that it is actually hopelessness. Now, the difference between depression and hopelessness is depression is a feeling of being sad, having your mood down, having no motivation. I mean, you know the psychology textbook definition of depression. Whereas hopelessness contrasts towards depression in that hopelessness sees no hope for the future. It sees no brighter tomorrow. It sees nothing good that can come out of your present situation and nothing good that can ever happen in the future. So there's no hope for where I am now. There's no hope for that could end and that I can actually come out of this. I can be depressed and I can still be hopeful. And I can still say, I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to get better. Things are going to change. I will get better. I will get healed. I will be restored. Though I am depressed now, I can still have hope for the future. But hopelessness is a whole new ballgame. It's where you see no positive outcome for the situation, for your life, for where you are at currently. You see no positive outcome now, and you see no positive outcome for your future, not just for that situation, but for your entire life. So therefore, hopelessness is more linked to depression. Hopelessness is more linked to suicide than depression is linked to suicide. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. So let's move on. So there are three key factors that are interlinked to either someone committing or wanting to commit suicide or being persuaded not to. Those three factors are goals, the pathways for reaching those goals, and your agency in attaining those goals. So let me explain. Your goals would be your things that you see for yourself in the future. So having more goals in life increases your hopefulness and it obviously decreases your hopelessness. So someone who is hopeless will obviously have no goals. Your pathway is the way that you've decided that you're going to reach your goal, or the various pathways that you've drawn up that this goal can be reached. Let's say your goal is to earn a degree in psychology. The various pathways that you can do this is through this university or that university or online courses or distance studying or whatever it may be. Those are your various pathways. So once you begin to see your pathways are lightening up in terms of your set goal, this also begins to increase your hopefulness, decreasing your hopelessness. And then your agency is your active involvement in achieving these goals. So if you have no goals, you'll have no pathway of achieving these goals. And if you have no agency, which means I can't do it, it's too much, it's too difficult, it's too hard. Sorry, it's too hard. This will then increase your hopelessness. And let me just show you a table that will illustrate to you what I'm saying. So where your goals is concerned, someone who is hopeless will have their final goal as suicide, but the prevention of that, the hopefulness, would be believing that you have a bright future in your entirety of your life, no matter what area it may be in. The pathway of someone who is suicidal would be, they would be thinking that none of their plans are working, that everything they do is a failure, that they can't imagine another way of attaining their goals. But someone who is hopeful will always say that there is another way to attain these goals, that I can find another area, another avenue, another pathway of being able to attain my goal. And then that's where your personal agency comes in, your active involvement. Being hopeless, saying, I will never succeed, I may as well end this or end my life. And then being hopeful would be going to the extreme, not the extreme, but to the opposite end, saying that there is a capable way of being able to find a pathway to attain my particular goal. So it's just very brief. I'm not going to go into much detail. I know it might seem boring and easy and whatever, but it's just important for you to realize the three aspects that are linked to either someone wanting to or not wanting to commit suicide. Goals, pathways, and agency. If you are lacking in, if someone is seriously lacking in all three of these, their proclivity to want to commit suicide may be higher. And the opposite is true, is that if you are flourishing in the goals that you are setting, the pathways that you are carving out in able to enable you to find your goals, as well as your active agency, if you are flourishing in that, that will then increase your hopelessness and decrease your risk or your proclivity or your ideation of wanting to commit suicide. So firstly, what is it that you do when someone tells you that they are suicidal? Sometimes someone who is suicidal or suicidal situations may be out of our control. So I just have a little bit of a homework exercise for you, in that I want you to find contact details, addresses and contact details, not for me, you're not going to give it to me, you're not going to show me, but you're going to do this for yourself, because you may find yourself in the situation that needs medication or that needs to be attended to immediately. So Lifeline is a counseling organization. I want you to find out their details, find out their counselors, as well as your local hospital, your local psychologist, and any social worker, just so that you have these details readily on standby should you be placed in a situation where it's beyond you and you know you can't handle it and this person needs to be referred immediately because their life is actually in danger. So I want you to go through that and find out those areas. So that's all that we have on suicide. I know it was very brief and it wasn't very helpful, not very helpful, but very filled with content because it was just a brief introduction on it, and there's further reading on it and further intervention on it as we go along, and as well in your readings. But for now, I just want to speak about your planning of your intervention. This is your assignment 4, sorry, and it's extremely important. So I want us to go through it so that we don't have any questions, don't have any unanswered questions rather, and that we are able to get the best mark possible, because the instructions were made clear and you understand fully what is expected of you and what it is. Sorry. What it is that you need to do. So, before we start, these are some questions you just need to ask yourself. What issues have you seen in your community that you would like to address? So this is nothing to do with the instructions yet. This is just for you to think about laying the foundation of your assignment. What issues have you seen in your community that you would like to address? Who do you need to reach in your community? Where could you do this? And then what life skills could be taught either to prevent them or to help people overcome them? And then finally, if you taught these skills to everyone in your community, what difference would this make in your community? So that's just for you to brainstorm briefly what it is you can think about and what it is you can do in your community and with the people in your community. Then, these are not the instructions yet, but also just something for you to think about, laying the foundation of your assignment. Is the reason that we are doing this assignment is to help you find a way to make a real difference in your community, in that you will be showing that you understand the issues in your community and that you can imagine ways to bring change, and that you know how to plan and bring hope and life in your community. And then finally, you are showing your understanding of experiential learning, which is learning through doing and not just through hearing, seeing and reading, but you learning by actually doing something. Does that make sense? Can we go on to the actual instructions of the assignment? Okay. So you're going to meet with a pastor or teacher in your community to discuss common struggles or useful areas of personal development. What are the common weaknesses? What skills or knowledge could help people in the community to flourish? These are questions you're going to ask yourself. You're going to identify one topic that could be addressed effectively from a life skills approach to intervention. Then you're going to specify and describe the target group, resources and requirements needed. So through that, through what you have, through having identified your one topic, you need to develop a training manual for 2 days of intervention on how to effectively address and intervene, either preventing or overcoming the specific topic that you have chosen. In this, you're going to include your aim, your objectives, your target audience, your program, your lesson plan. That is going to take up the bulk of your assignment. That needs to be very important. The actual program and lesson plan that you're going to specify, so that if you give this training manual to someone else in a different community who are perhaps going through the same issues that you've identified, that they'll be able to execute this in the exact same way that you executed it, because you've given them clear and proper instructions on on the intervention that they need to do concerning this specific area. So you will make use of various resources, exercises, activities, checklists, evaluation forms, handouts, whatever you feel is relevant for this particular intervention. You need to be as creative as possible in order to show us that you are able to develop and execute this intervention effectively. And then the final part of your assignment will include your explanation of what counseling skills may be needed, to relate to this program, and to provide guidelines on how to go about managing these counseling skills. So this is where your coursework and other resources are going to be important, because we need to see that you aren't just making things up, but that you are actually making use of actual counseling and life skills that you've been taught and that you've been provided with. You'll be evaluated on creativity, clarity of instructions, and the suitability of the program to the target audience, topic, and context. Your word count, please pay careful attention to this. It says 1,500 to 1,800 words. So please no less than 1,500 and no more than 2,000 words. This is your marking guide. Pay very, very careful attention to this. Pay attention to the amount of marks allocated to each aspect of your assignment, so that you will know which of these aspects require the most attention, and that you will know in actually which aspects I need to include, because sometimes people don't have a look at the marking guide, and let's say the course material, they won't even include the course material, and unfortunately they just have to be marked down because there's nothing in your assignment that indicates to me that you've engaged at all with any course material. So if there are no other questions, then I think we can end early on this tutorial. Do you guys have any questions?
No, we're actually fine. We don't have any questions.
Okay, so you feel that you are ready to go ahead with your final assignment?
Yes, yeah, we think so. We just have to go a bit deeper into the subject. And yeah, can you maybe give us some tips on today's assignment? Just that we can maybe tweak it a bit or make it a bit better.
Today's assignment is the case study, eh?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have the actual instructions on me right now. Do you have any specific questions, rather? Because I don't know exactly what tips to give you. So ask me a specific question, and I'll be able to answer you where that is concerned.
Okay, we'll ask you right now. We just want to figure it out quickly.
Okay. One tip that I can give you while you figure it out is that it is extremely important that you please include course content, referencing, and reading in your case study, so that when you apply Egan's model to the person's specific case, you are applying the Egan's model. So you're referencing Egan's model, you're applying how you would go about it from there. So you're not just saying, okay, this is what Egan's model says, this is what you need to do, but this is what Egan's model says, and this is what I draw from it. This is what I'm applying to it as well. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Another tip. Okay, what's the question?
No, it's fine. We can speak.
Another tip would be to make sure that you don't overemphasize your own opinion, but that you're constantly backing it up with literature and with content, with the course reading, and that your content has a balance between what you would do, how you would go about it, and this balance being backed up with the actual readings and referencing that we've provided you with.
So just to make it like practical, so basically the question tells you to use that Egan's model. It's like basically 3 steps, and then there's like a case study that you have to apply that 3 steps to. So you're gonna say, in step 1 I'm gonna do this in this case. In step 2 I'm gonna do this in this case. Is that basically the same?
Yes, that would be the good way to go about it, but don't simply just state the steps. State why you're doing it and how it's relevant to this specific case. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Because simply stating the steps won't be good enough, because I can go and read the textbook if I just want to see what steps there are. So you would state the steps and you would apply it to the relevant aspects of the case study. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
No.
Okay, so other than that, you have no questions on assignment 3, no questions on assignment 4. So I think we can end today's tutorial. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, thanks guys. Have a good day.
You too.
And please keep me in prayer. I'm not feeling too well, as you can probably see and hear.
It's okay. Good job.
Thanks so much. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.